this shit up out of here. Oh, what's good? What's good? What's good? Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Give it a little minute. You know how motherfuckers be, but I'm gonna be quick with this one, so motherfuckers ain't either catch up or they gonna miss out on this one because I got shit to do. Shit to do. Shit to do. Business to do. People to see. You know what I mean? Give it a couple, man. Just give it another minute. Like I said, even if it's only a few people in here, I know how motherfuckers be with this. But once we get to it, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. As always, make sure y'all donate. Can't stress this enough. All donations are going towards water, towards the victims of this Texas snowstorm. I know the snowstorm ain't going on no more, so it's not news anymore, but it's still a really heavy shortage of things like water. And we want to help out the best way we can. So, once again, if you are going to fuck with us, make sure you guys donate. Donate to the nonprofit. I don't want $100. I don't want $200. If you got it to give, then break bread. But if you don't, we would appreciate $10. We would appreciate $5. We would appreciate $20. Just know where it's going towards. It's not going in my pocket. You know, I will hope that I'm speaking about stocks that I'm invested in, so I'm doing pretty well. I want to make sure everybody's doing their part, especially since y'all not paying for this free information. So yeah, let's get into it. This won't be a long one, guys. I'm not really gonna get too deep into stocks to look out for. I feel like the stocks that we went over yesterday is enough for you guys to kind of keep an eye out for. I know the biggest thing that most of you guys are wondering is why is the stock market not looking as good as it was yesterday. Remember first and foremost, we're talking about valleys and peaks. The stock market is full of that. Can't get too high up when you win, can't get too low when you lose. But it's a simple reason, just like any other time, as to why the stock market is doing what they're doing at this current moment. Surprisingly enough, the unemployment report came in, and it looks like that the unemployment is doing better than it was last week. So that's not the reason why the stock market is down today. The stock market is down today because of the 10-year yield that we were talking about. I want to say last Friday we had spoke about why the market, or last Thursday. Uh, Shit, was it last Friday? It might have actually been Tuesday. No, it was last Friday. We spoke or last Thursday. We talked about how the 10-year yield was higher than it has been in over a year. It was at 1.36%. And remember, I told y'all don't worry about it. It's actually a good thing. It's showing that there's, the economy is growing. This is kind of just like the counter effects of what happens when the economy grows, especially from the situation that we came out of with this pandemic. So the reason why the market is down today is because that 10-year yield went up another 9%. So instead of it being the 1.36%, it was reported earlier today that it was at 1.45%. Which once again, the reason why it went down is because the sellers they sold because of fear of the interest rate. These things happen, but once again, for people who was paying attention to the Fed chair, he actually spoke yesterday. I know it's a boring thing to check out, so I guess it's my responsibility to report that to you. But he spoke specifically about the yield raising and the fact that the yield raising is actually a good thing. It means that it signs that the economy is actually growing. So it is nothing to really be afraid of or think that this is going to be something long term. Once again, I would, unless something happens like dramatically, the stocks will probably go back up tomorrow. But once again, just so you guys know, so there's no confusion, The stocks are down currently today because of the 10-year yield interest rate going up another 9%. So that's really all it is. There's no companies failing. There's no economy crashing or anything like that. Simple part of the economy, just kind of how it goes. So I know that a lot of people have been asking me, is marijuana too volatile to invest in heavy? Hey man, listen, all these stocks are volatile. You know what I'm saying? Like all these stocks are volatile. Unless it's a blue chip stock, the stock market is a volatile market. So I think the most important thing is just looking at that particular marijuana stock and see why that company would be something to invest into. I actually spoke on a marijuana stock yesterday called Cresco Labs. The reason why I recommended that stock is because they just got approved by the state of Arizona to actually sell their product, and that's the fifth state that they actually have access to sell product to. See, that's a tangible thing to why you would want to invest into that particular company, because once again, they're opening up an entire new market where they're going to be killing it. For somebody who live in Arizona, seeing how these dispensaries have opened up since it's like legal now, um, any brand that can actually pump some shit into this state that can get approval to this state should do it, because shit is getting dry out here. Um, and that's why we got our grow houses. So we'll talk about that in a few months. If you get a chance to answer questions, what's the best way to learn options trading? um, I think when we talk about options, because that's something that I'm never really going to speak about, because so many people who actually listen to this stream are such hopscotch viewers. They're people who will only watch one episode and maybe not tap in for another 2 3 days. And anybody who deals with options know that this is day trading. This is the part that you have to be attentive to on a regular basis. And because I understand the audience that I'm dealing with, I'm not going to give any kind of trading advice. If you're talking about on a human level who you should tap into, I would recommend tapping in with our streets. I don't know if you guys know who our streets is. I think if you find him on Facebook, his name is Courtney Streets. But he would be the person to speak more about options trading. I know that I don't know if he sells the information. I don't know if it's free like how I do. But I would say that he would probably be somebody that I would feel more comfortable to you guys referring to, because he's very successful doing options trading. I'm very successful at it too, but I'm not going to give that advice over this stream just because I don't know who's watching. And the last thing I want is somebody to be like, "Oh man, I ain't do it right, man. KG ain't giving the good information." So for me, I just want to stand on stocks that you can tangibly look at. When it comes to options trading, a lot of it is about predicting. And in predictions comes a lot of times gambling. And if you don't know your research on how to do this shit the right way, you're gonna make a mistake and lose money. So for me, that's who I would recommend to. Shout out to our streets. Yeah, so that's who I would tap into about options trading. So I know a lot of guys have seen GameStop and AMC and some of these other stocks that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, almost maybe like a month or so ago. I know that, as you guys can see, these stocks have gone up. Now, just so we're clear on why uh, GameStop is up. Um, our streets, he a battle rapper. Yeah, if you go on Facebook, he should be listed under Courtney Streets. Um, just find him. He's very knowledgeable in the options. I am too, but like I said, I'm just not giving that recommendation over this stream. There's too many people who are startup guys to it'd be like talking astrophysics to a wino. You know what I'm saying? So for me, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but there's a lot of people who try to get insight on just the stock market as a whole. And for me, I'd rather just leave that to them. But yeah, our streets. Look them up under Facebook. You can find them under Courtney Streets. Um, Shout out to him, and also shout out to my brother Chef Trez. If you guys want to learn more about the forex game, he's your go-to guy for that. And I think he has a Telegram that he does that gives insight on that, and that's also something to look into as well. Um, but just going back to the GameStop, why is GameStop shooting up out the blue? Um, for those who seen my stream yesterday, somebody asked me about GameStop, and I mentioned the fact that I wouldn't fuck with them because, quite honestly, we knew what it was the first time. We were really just going against the hedge fund companies. The hedge fund companies are investing in the short again, and because of the fact that GameStop did fire their CFO, for me that was the reason why I didn't invest into it again. But for Wall Street bets, the guys in Reddit, they look at it that that's a reason why they should get into it because they feel like firing the CFO is going to turn the company around. Mind you, they haven't found a replacement for the CFO. And for those who live under a rock, CFO is Chief Financial Officer. So if you're investing in something based off the finances and the person who handles the finances has not been replaced yet, there's nobody running that part of that company right now. So really, you kind of riding on autopilot, just hoping that it lands safe. To be honest with you, one of the reasons why I'm not going to suggest that people get into this time is because I noticed a trend with a lot of you niggas, man. A lot of you motherfuckers hopped in this GameStop and this AMC wave with no knowledge as to why you doing it, no know how into when to sell it, and not really stand on top of it to know when this shit is going to drop. And I noticed that at least for a lot of the people who got into this AMC and GameStop shit, you either got into it too late or you sold it too late, or you're still holding it. For those people, if you're still holding it, I would probably recommend to just sell the shit because you're probably making a profit unless you was one of them niggas who hopped in at $200, $300 a pop. And that's the reason why I'm not recommending motherfuckers get into it this time. Because some of y'all seeing this GameStop shit right now, like, oh, should I get in now? Is it gonna go back up to 400? The answer is no. The answer is it's not going to go up to 400. And even if it does go up to 400, it's going to go down so fast that most of y'all not even going to catch that profit. The reason why I don't see it going all the way upwards to 400 again is simply because it just won't have the same steam as it does last time. I feel like the hedge fund companies, they know how to break some of you niggas. Like they know how to break some of y'all. I heard reports on Robinhood stopping people from buying GameStop stocks again yesterday. I was reading that in the news yesterday. How many times do we got to play the same game before y'all understand that these short squeezes aren't for you? If you're not an options trader, then you shouldn't get in these stocks. Period. Now, if you know about options trading, you should get into this if you understand the fact that both of these stocks are going to go back down pretty soon. And once again, I'm not going to give recommendations on what shorts and what puts you should put into this. I would just recommend that you maybe get in touch with somebody like our streets. Mickey Fax is also a good one. He's big on shorts. For me, I'm just not gonna give that advice. I'll just leave it at that. But I will say that because some of you guys are more reactionary than learning about it ahead of time and actually doing the Wall Street bets, the Reddit shit that I keep telling y'all about. If y'all do that, then y'all know when to get it off and get it on, do that type of stuff. But I just know that a lot of you guys aren't doing that. And I don't knock you. We got lives. It is very redundant to just look at a bunch of, threads that you have to read through to get all these details for. I understand. But because of that, I don't want to recommend that you get into something like that because, I said this before, it was a reason why I was talking about AMC and not GameStop because for me, the GameStop stocks that I had, I sold them bitches at 420. Like I sold them at 420, and I had somebody hit me up say, "Oh yeah, I just bought some more GameStop stocks," and I'm looking at it when they said it, and the shit was at like 275 a pop, and I'm like, "Nah, man, we not about to do this no more." You know what I'm saying? So do your research on it. If it makes sense to you, AMC is probably a better look than GameStop. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna recommend those things. But do your research. It could definitely be opportunity for growth still. But just know that you are gambling, and unless you have insight on what the hedge funds are doing, which all you got to do is go through Wall Street Bets. You can get that information. But if you're not willing to do that, you need to stay away from them short squeeze stocks. As you can see, Bitcoin's back up at 50,000. Shout out to the people who sold at 46,000 because y'all thought it was crashing. We always love, it's always funny to see that. What else? Like I said, in terms of stocks, Apple. I keep saying Apple is still at a low price. Only reason why I'm gonna bring up Apple again is because they just partnered a deal with Target, to where you're gonna start noticing that every Target is gonna start having Apple locations where they can actually sell just strictly Apple shit. So that is another reason once again to tap into Apple. Do not let these numbers going down with Apple fool you. They're $1 trillion company. They're not falling off. Tech as a whole is just down because they're a part of this 10-year yield, which is the reason why the S&P 500 is down and why the market in general is down. The 10-year yield. Keep that in mind. If you don't know what a yield is, if you don't know what the 10-year yield is, I would advise that once this is over, that you go to Google and type this stuff in, because these things have not just to do with the stocks. The 10-year yield affects mortgages, and it affects, the national interest rate. These are things that you just should know. So, what's your estimate on a future price point for Apple? Listen, I don't know. The sky's the limit. It's just important to know that if Apple didn't do stock splits, I've said this before, but if Apple never did a stock split, not one time, that stock right now would be worth $28,000 per share. But they've done four different stock splits in the last 20 years. They did a 7-to-1 stock split, a 5-to-1 stock split, another 4-to-1 stock split, and the last one that they just did was another 4-to-1 stock split. So, that's what you have to look at the totality of this shit. It's a blue chip stock. It's one of those stocks that's gonna always go up. These are the type of stocks that you can hand off to your children. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you have the mindset of the stock market being something that you're gonna stick around with long term, then that's the type of stock that you would want to invest into, because it's the leader of tech besides Tesla. It's a $1 trillion company, so it could never fall off. You know what I'm saying? And they're constantly doing things to innovate, to grow as a company. So between the iCar and the different pieces of technology that they're providing, that microchip that they're doing for their own computers, so now they don't have to reach out to these separate companies for microchips. These are all things that are going on this year. They just haven't seen the fruition of it yet because the tech as a whole is down this year. Um, but check. All you gotta do is check how much the shit grown in the last 2 years. You'll get an idea of what it's gonna do. So yeah, Apple. So once again, that's the only reason why I'm bringing Apple back up, is because they did land that partnership with Target. Like I said, within the next few months, you should start seeing more Apple shit in Target, like their own little department. And when you see that, you'll know, like, damn, he was right. So that's pretty much it, y'all. Like I said, I don't really have a lot to talk about, even though this did kind of stretch out. Just as a reminder for the people who came in late, the reason why the stocks are low is because of the 10-year yield. And unless you know what you're doing with GameStop and AMC, stay the fuck away. What do you think of NBA Top Shot? I don't think anything of it. I don't even know what that is. I'll look it up though. I'll definitely look it up and bring the information next week. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Any other questions? No questions? Cool. So yeah, while we got y'all in here now, I just once again can't stress this enough. If you've benefited from this, if you've ever been in a situation where you've made even $30 from these streams or the advice I've given, I'm gonna once again just ask you guys to donate $5, $10 towards the nonprofit. I can't stress this enough. It's not going in my pocket. None of this shit ever does. It goes towards the water pallets that we are buying for the people specifically in the Dallas area. So if you ever want to tap in with the nonprofit that we fucking with out there, it's Minnie's Food Pantry. Shout out to them. But yeah, like I said, every bit counts, man. We already got enough for 2 pallets. That's over 160 cases of water. Like I said, we would like to get it to a little bit more. So yeah, just donate a couple of bucks. That would be definitely appreciated. Um, you into crypto? If so, what site you use? I use Coinbase. I use Coinbase. So I like Coinbase. I like Coinbase because it gives you the ability to, for me, I've transitioned to a point, and I guess I'll say this and then I'll go. I've transitioned to the point where I no longer have any money in my savings account. I don't put any money in my savings account. Any money that I have that's free money that I have no intent to spend, that I haven't already invested in, stocks or mutual funds or my nonprofit or, my other investments. Like now, instead of putting it in a savings account, all my money goes into crypto, all of it, 100% of it. Because using something like Coinbase, it gives me the ability to where if I need to pull a cash out on the spot, I can do that. And it literally only takes like 15 minutes for it to go from Coinbase to my account. So for me, having that ability to withdraw it the same way as a savings account, but I'm accruing real interest, for me, that is just the way that I'm going to be handling my savings from this point on. So for me, do they charge a lot to pull out? No. It depends on how quickly you want the money. For instance, I pulled out like a grand um, last week, and I would say because I wanted the money instantly, it came out to like $30 because I wanted it instantly. If I wanted the money within 1 to 3 business days, it doesn't cost anything. They'll deposit it. It's kind of like Cash App that way, where they'll take a little piece out if you do a big bag, but if you do the 1 to 3 business days, they don't charge shit. But for me, it just makes sense because I mean, think about it. If you got 3 grand in the savings account right now, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck is that 3 grand doing for you? Now, I have spoke about money market mutual funds, but those can be once again mutual funds. They don't have to be a savings account. But for me, like I said, whatever cash that I have, I'm just going to put it in crypto. Even if it goes down for a day or two, you see what Bitcoin's doing. It's right back up to the 50 grand. This is the shit that we talk about. It's going to go up. It's going to go down a little bit, but it's going to go up higher, down a little bit, up higher. And if you stick around, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, why wouldn't you just leave it in something like that? So that's what I do. I'm not telling you to do that, but for me, Coinbase is why that's why I use Coinbase because it does allow me to pull out money the same way. So any other questions? Good question though. No? Cool, 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 cool. So y'all know I'm not doing this shit tomorrow. I'll be back Tuesday. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Make sure y'all tap in. I should be dropping new content for the podcast tomorrow, if not Saturday or Sunday. We'll start dropping some new content. There's gonna be a time where I'm gonna have to fall back from this shit for like a couple weeks so I can really work on the branding of this shit. I never really went into it with the expectation of getting the feedback that I've gotten because it was never really about that for me. So for me, I need to make sure that if I'm gonna do this shit, I'm gonna do it right. So I would probably tap in with Derez and make sure that I make this shit look good for y'all. But we're not gonna do that next week. Probably in a couple weeks. So once again, as always, make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys share this shit. Spread the word, man. Like I said, each one teach one. But have a good weekend, y'all niggas. Holla.